Podcast SEO Monetization for International Businesses. This is the final loop, y'all, and I'm so glad that you are here listening to this last one. If you're listening to this, please subscribe to the We Don't Play podcast show on your favorite podcast player, and I'll be happy to give you results like this because I am consistently dropping information that you'll be able to use, apply, research with, and find out for yourself so that you can be able to do your own due diligence and learn more about how it can work for you and your business long term. So if you have a business, if you have a podcast, if you have a story, if you have a plan, a business plan, a marketing plan, and you're thinking about internationally connecting with people, then there are ways that you can also think about where your business can now take its next level of monetization when it comes to connecting with people long term. So when you think about the way podcasting is done and the way monetization is done, the way SEO is done, these are very key frames to consider because internationally as a business, you're thinking about how you can connect with people all over the world, right? So if you're looking at performance benchmarks, you're looking at things to deal with downloads or unique listeners. So these are specific tools and metrics that allow you over time to get more insight about what your audience is looking for and how they're able to connect with you as well. So if you think about how many podcast episodes or how many downloads you're getting per 30 days, that's how you're able to measure it. You're measuring it per 7 days, per 30 days, every 7 days, every 30 days. And when you're looking at monetization for podcasting, you're looking at it from a major focus on downloads, because the downloads that you're getting is where you're getting advertising networks to run commercials, which is what people listen to and stream. Because when you think about a podcast, your podcast can be so good, but if you're not having listeners and they can't find you to stay listening, then it's going to be hard for you to retain that podcast monetization passively. That's a very key factor to consider, because when you're looking at building and sustaining growth, you're looking at the way you're building your capacity online to make sure that you're able to still have dominance in your niche. So if we're thinking about dominance in the niche market, we're thinking about how, as a podcast internationally, you can also be able to show up online for people. Welcome, Echo. Thank you for being here. So when you're looking at content that is searchable across different algorithms, languages, think about the Google search engine, right? This is a Google search engine. And you could be using a .com. Somebody else could be using a .co.uk. Somebody else could be listening and using a .co. something else, right? Or somebody could be on Google searching on their browser and they're searching on their device for a specific key term, right? And these key terms are in the form of a language. So if your phone is set to English, that's what you're going to type in the search box. If your phone is set to Spanish, it's going to have that as a default because that's what you're going to use to type. So when you start looking at this from a very multilingual content perspective and localization, it helps. That's why even these days with Instagram or with any platforms that you see, if somebody writes a caption in a different language, you can also see where Instagram will say C translation. That C translation means that somebody that is not familiar with the language can read this. Welcome, Emler. Thank you for being here. Somebody can come in and use that to build capacity over time because you're able to look at it from a search perspective, right? So when you start thinking about the build-up, right, you're looking at localizing your content based on factors that help you as a business to grow. So when you start looking at your business and you start looking at your target, you're looking at it from an international perspective. It's no longer a regional perspective. It's international because you're not dealing with one culture or one language. You're dealing with a multilingual, I can call it localization setup. So when you start looking at the search intent, it's going to help with location when you start thinking about brands. when you start thinking about where people are searching from or searching with. So it's important to look at these things and ask yourself as a business, if I have a podcast, if I have a website, if I have a brand, if I'm running ads, if I'm showing up online, if I'm using content to show my brand visibility, how can I be able to do that and build that long term? So that's going to help you as a business to see internationally how you can connect with people. And how you'll even know you're international is when you start looking at your content and you start realizing, when you go to your analytics, you start realizing that you start seeing people that are outside your primary country are watching or listening or reading or visiting your website. These are huge pointers to look at, because when you start noticing people starting to come in and start learning more about your business, start learning more about your podcast, start learning more about your brand, it starts to build. Like this room right now, we're just starting. We started not too long ago. In the next 5-10 minutes, people will be coming in, will have questions. There will be all kinds of conversations, because it's going to mean this is what you're looking for in this area. And when you're able to now create your own pathway as a podcast, it helps you long term. I was just on a call with a client earlier today, about 2 hours ago, and she's about to start her coaching because she's been using her podcast for the last couple of years now. And we've been able to build it to the point where now I sent her a screenshot of her coaching. If you type in like emotional coaching for adults, she's now showing up on Google. So I said, hey, if people are finding you like this now, because we've built this capacity because we've been working for about 6 months now. So it's like, okay, now we can create content that's going to give us the best foot forward by location specific metadata is what we've been able to do. So now if somebody's looking for emotional coaching for adults and she has a podcast, she has interviews, she has blogs, she has content that is giving her the credibility to affirm that she's a person that people should go to. I mentioned and I said, hey, we have your article. It's looking good. Congratulations. That's a good thing. Now that we've built this capacity, we need to create space. And by creating space, we need to invite people, right? And how do you invite people? You need to build a red carpet for them to walk. So what's that red carpet? A booking link. And right now she doesn't have one, but we're about to install one for her, because I told her after the call, like, hey, we need to get this, because if people are coming here, they're getting the information, but they're not coming back to you or scheduling a call with you, then they'll go to somebody else who's going to do it like the way you could have, but they've met you first. So if Google is responding to you first, AI is responding to you first, then you also have to be part of that scale. And that comes with testing. That's the good thing about SEO, because I learn more from my clients than they learn from me. I learned something new today in the call too. So you start thinking about creating the intention of having a podcast and turning that podcast into a blog, because that's what we did. She had 50 episodes and 0 blogs. So we said, okay, we're going to turn these 50 episodes into 50 blogs that will link back to those 50 episodes. And what happens is when you start doing that in volume, Google starts to pick up on your domain, because if you keep saying the same thing over and 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 over again, it gets to a point where it's like you're repeating it to the point where somebody knows what you're about to say next. That's the goal. Welcome, Quadwo. Thank you for being here. You start looking at it from a long-term perspective, because you start realizing that the more people start talking about things, the more, you know how you say you are who you say you are, because you are what you eat, first of all, what you feed your mind, your soul, your spirit, your body. At the same time, you are what you feed your mental capacity to create these things. Welcome to Net. So you're building a long-term plan within an intellectual property asset, which is your website, which is your podcast, which is your blog. We had another client yesterday. She's on Amazon. She has a book on Amazon. I told her, hey, let's turn your podcast, your book into a podcast. And now she's on Amazon and all over the world. And we just did a whole revamp. Now she has episodes people are going to listen to. So when they're listening to your episode, they're downloading your book on Amazon. People are active. People are passive. People are very proactive when they're making these things, because somebody could be doing their laundry. Somebody could be walking their dog. Somebody could be about to get on a flight. Somebody could be driving. Somebody could be jogging. I got an email from someone 2 days ago saying that he had about a 45-minute walk and he listened to my podcast show. So shout out to you, sir, because when I'm looking at these things and people are connecting and they're listening, I know that someone is paying attention. So I need to also be responsible in my delivery, because if someone says, hey, you said this and I did say it and I can't back up what I said or affirm what I said or explain what I said, then I'm in trouble, right? So you have to make sure that you're in a position to listen and to be more structural in your delivery. And when you have a communication pattern or style or build up or behavior with someone, you're able to see, okay, how best can you make this better? So you start thinking about it long term. You see, check in later, about to get on a flight. You see what I just talked about? Tanet just put it in the chat. So you see what I'm saying? This is in real life. This is what happens on Clubhouse every time. Something new happens. I didn't expect this. Shout out to you, Tanet, and I hope you have a safe flight. Because someone's going to come back to this and listen to a replay. Someone's going to listen to this a month from now, a year from now, and still pay attention. It may not make sense now, but it will. So that's why I'm talking about this now, because I talked about local businesses, regional businesses, national businesses, and now international businesses. So I'm not going to talk about this again unless time permits, and if that happens, great. And the time right now is 1, 2, 3, 4. It's 12:34 p.m. So Central Time. So when you look at it from a long-term perspective as a business, ask yourself internationally, how am I going to do this? So let's say you have analytics. I'll just give you a very prototype hypothetical example, and then you can use this template visually and see how you can turn it into your own product. Here we go. If you have a website and you can track analytics, right? And let's say you have analytics in the top 5, let's even drop it down to 3. The top 3 countries that are listening to your podcast, right, would be, let's say, United States, let's say Germany, and let's say Spain. This is random, right? Now you have United States, Germany, and Spain. Now you have German, you have Spanish, and you have English, and you have a podcast. When you go to Instagram and you read a caption that is not in English, it's in a different language, and you see the little subtext that says, see translation, it will switch to your default language that you set on your Instagram. So if your default was Spanish and you saw English and you say translate, the person who has a phone that has Spanish on default is going to see Spanish. You're going to see English. So I'm giving you an international, 30,000 viewpoint scope, because I've covered all the bases, and I said, okay, international is going to be pretty light, because once you cover local, regional, national, international should be easy because you've covered a national base. So I'm giving you pretty much 30,000 viewpoints that you can use to now go back to previous episodes and then see how you can match them all together like a jigsaw puzzle. So when you're creating content and you have content that you've produced as an episode in English, and now you have a business and your business is also in a different country, right? Now that different country is going to have their own API. I've always talked about this. Go to serpapi.com. It's a free online real-time example of showing you exactly where, if you are living in that city or that state or that country, that's what you'd be receiving on Google. It gives you exactly what it is. And I've always shown you, and I do that for audits. So you can click the link above, get the email, get in call with me, and we can talk about it. And I'll show you exactly what I mean, because I love to be visual about showing you exactly what I talk about. Because when you listen to things, I've noticed something. When you listen to things, this is something I've learned along the way. Just giving you guys a quick insight before I continue. When you listen to things for the first time, your learning acquisition response is 5%. Compared to if you're teaching somebody what you have learned before, like how to drive a car, how to tie a tie, how to tie a shoelace, whatever it is that you naturally know how to do innately, right? If you're able to do that just at a snap of a finger, right? That's because you've been able to build that capacity in that regard for someone to learn about that key phrase or that experience. Now, if I've told you this experience and you know exactly what the experience is, but you don't have a language preset that you can understand or comprehend it, yet you know it visually, if I give that same article to you in Spanish and then somebody else get the same article, but it's in German, now 3 people have learned the same thing from 3 different languages. And because the learning acquisition by listening is 5% and teaching is 90%, it means that now I've gained a good cover of letting more people know about how my business can also run internationally. So if you have a link on your website and it's your website.com/ the title or the URL, and that URL is in a specific language, right? That language is going to be seen when somebody's typing for something like that in their location, if it's connected to that language by default. So these are things to look out for as a business that can help you, build. Welcome, AFG. So you think about your content and ask yourself, if I want to be multilingual, I can use my primary language and then repurpose content into other languages. And of course, now with AI, you can also have different engines that allow you to now translate that into different languages. And if you have to proofread it, you have to also do that deep research to know that it's the right thing. And how will you know that? By using Translate. There's something called Google Translate. Google Translate is an API. The same way Google Maps is an API, the same way Google Search Console is an API. So I'm giving you Google products that are already integrated into a system. So if you're already using Google for search terms and Google already understands how people type, how people think, they have capacity to give you that information back in a way that if you put it in your writing, if you put it into your content layer, then it's easy for people to read it in their language and understand what you're talking about. So creating that is going to be a big deal for you. So internationally as a business, if you, let's say, have a business and your consumers speak Spanish, right? And you have products in that quarter or in that sector or in that industry that can attract those brands that read up those type of content pieces. Because let's say you talk about nutrition and food, and that's what you talk about on your podcast. Welcome, Celeste. You talk about this on your podcast. So you start putting your podcast out there and more people start to connect with you. Before you know it, you're speaking in different languages, and it's also allowing people to connect back to you long term. So internationally, you have created a sequence of long-term connections with people who are going to learn more about you. And sometimes people can turn on Google Translate, because if you're, let's say, on a browser, on Chrome browser, and a quick example, if you're on a browser and your default is English, Google is not going to ask you to translate it to a different language. But let's say you opened a page and this page was in Spanish or in German. Google is going to ask you if you want to translate that page to English so that you can read it in your default language. So why I'm saying this internationally is when you have a podcast and your podcast is put in a way that can be transcribed, and now with AI and technology, languages can also be scripted, transcripted, and transcribed into things that could be taken into different forms that will help you understand more about the concept. It's a much better layer. So it's something to think about when you think about your business long term. Hey Celeste, how are you? Happy Wednesday. What you thinking about the topic today? What's going down?
Because my service is a little nervous, that's why. But I literally just popped in, so just listening and observing for now.
Thank you, Celeste. Appreciate you. And I see Shanetta as well is here. Welcome to Clubhouse. You got a party hat. Welcome to Clubhouse. I know Clubhouse is a great place to be, and I hope it's usually the first 7 days. So I hope you're enjoying yourself, and welcome to the Marketing Club. This is a Marketing Club, and this is where you have a good time to get information. There are so many replays here, so many replays. I talk about so many things. If you're a local business, regional business, if you are a national business, international business, there's enough content for you here. And I have about 62 topics, thereabout, to share with you. Juliana is here too. So it's exciting to show all these things long-term as a business owner, because you're able to know, okay, where are we going as a business? Where are we building capacity and how we're able to turn this into something that we can monetize and also use intellectually for our business. Hey, Juliana, we'd love to hear from you. How have you been and what's going on in your world?
I haven't been to the app for ages, and something just told me to come here. So I guess that the angels knew you were on here. I'm doing well. It's tax season, as everybody knows. And so I'm a licensed CPA. I do taxes. I do small business tax stuff. And Favour, full disclosure, he's one of my clients, and I'm also his client. So we work hand in hand together. So I'm here to support.
Thank you, Juliana. I appreciate you. Now, when it comes to international businesses, let's just talk money just a little bit. When it comes to business internationally, for somebody who is building capacity to build their podcast or build their brand or anything that they're building, because when it's time to pay, sales, profit, revenue, margins, all these things that we talk about, how can somebody also protect themselves so that they're not being confused about what they should know about as opposed to what everybody is saying?
With so many options, why choose Arizona State University?
For me, the only online option was ASU because of the quality. Their faculty was really involved with their students and care about your personal journey. The dedication to my personal development from my professors, that's been extremely valuable to me.
Earn your degree from the nation's most innovative university. Online. That's a degree better. Explore more than 350 plus undergraduate, graduate, and certificate programs at asuonline.asu.edu.
Sorry, I couldn't open it. Is that question for me?
Yeah.
Can you repeat it, please?
How do you tell somebody who is in business that wants to protect their property, but also do it in a way that is secure so that they're not losing money at the same time, wherever they are in business, whichever location they are based? Because this is international.
So the first thing is most people should be incorporating, because some people do this sole proprietorship, and they do not put things, no matter what industry you are in, there's a potential for you to cause harm to someone. And to do that, you want to make sure that you pay an attorney, a real life attorney, instead of trying to DIY things or LegalZoom and stuff. And I know the LegalZoom people are going to come after me, but the LegalZoom, they just pay people $15 an hour to put together something. So when you starting up, make sure that you have a fully qualified attorney and a fully qualified accountant, because the attorneys will make sure you are incorporated properly, everything is protected. The accountants will make sure that you have the right entity type for your type of industry, because not all industry are the same for all type of businesses, entity type. So you want to make sure you pay these professionals, and remember, anything you pay these professionals are tax deductible. So the same way you will pay a marketing person as well, instead of trying to DIY yourself because you waste a lot of time. So all your things should be planned ahead. You should be living in a budget. I call it flexible budget, not like rigid, like you can't even go to Starbucks or anything, but have a flexible budget. Don't be spending money willy-nilly. You see cash in the bank, you go on a shopping spree. You never do that. Always have a budget, and have an accounting software that tracks the budget and track what you're spending based on your budget. It's all in the numbers. No matter who you talk to, all the gurus, Warren Buffett, everybody talk about, it's all in the numbers. Your success is all in the numbers. That's my 2 cents.
Thank you, Juliana. Celeste is just making me laugh in the background, because if you look at her GIF, she's feeling a little guilty.
Sorry.
Yeah, you're over here making me be like, oh God, stop. No, I love what you're saying. And listen, I'm a very big, successful person when it comes to marketing, but this part I struggle with. So I'll be taking notes, Juliana.
No, I love it. No, this is important. I believe that the one thing that we think about, welcome Ife, Shire, I see you, Vinette, Lucas, Naima, I think for being at Justice too. everything that we're talking about here is so important, especially Juliana, you talked about, even with the budget. When I look at businesses these days, right, I've come to a point now, because this is going to be 13 years in business, just entrepreneurship, 25 years in music, 26 years, it's 2026 now. And you're looking at long-term property acquisition, intellectual property assets. We're going into an AI software right now. I was just talking about this in the morning in another clubhouse room about Google. And I'll say it now so that you guys hear it from me first, because I know you guys always want to know what's going on. Google is dropping something called Google Disco. I'm telling you guys now for the first time, if you're hearing this now, it's called Google Disco. And yeah, Juliana, it's called Google Disco. I've said it the fourth time, Google Disco. So what is Google Disco? Yes, Celeste. Google Disco is going to be like ChatGPT Atlas, and it's also going to be like Perplexity Comet. In other words, Google is about to drop their new AI browser.
Whoa.
Yeah, Juliana, it's getting serious. And with AI, I've been talking about it all through last year. Hey guys, get your website, get it going. Okay. Okay. At some point, I'm like, am I talking to myself? Because when I look at businesses growing, I'm just like, if you could just take this path, you'll be so far ahead. There's no way I would have been on Clubhouse if I didn't start a podcast. You guys already know this. I started a podcast in 2019, August 12th, and I came to Clubhouse November 24th, 2020. So I've been here almost 6 years, and I've never looked back, because this is where I connect with people. I would have never met Juliana. I would have never met Celeste. There are people who I've known for years on this app. And it's something that you see and it's like, wow, you're building communities with people you've never met, and people hear your voice every day. It's not everyone that is talking on this app. So some people are listening more than speaking, and the listening part is more than the talking. So if you're the one they're listening to, it's going to be a big deal, because this app is open. You can open a room and anyone can come in. It's open to all. So, and that's why I love it, because I'm able to connect with people in real time. And I pray before I get into rooms, and I say, Lord, if anyone comes into this room, please let them be the right people. That's usually what I do. And you guys know this. So I'm very transparent. I'm very open. I'm very public with this, so that you can be able to know, hey, this is how we work. This is how we do things. If you want to get in call with me, of course, click on my profile. Let's connect on LinkedIn. Let's connect on business. Let's, get an audit done. Let's get the work done. Because I'm looking at podcasting right now, and I'm like, this is getting to a point where it's growing, and I want you guys to grow with me. I don't want to be the only one talking about this. That's why I'm bringing this up, because internationally, as a podcast, you can earn so much with monetization. I was just talking to my client 2 hours ago, and in the next 10 minutes, I'm about to get on a call with a client. So this is quick. If you have any questions, please put it in the chat, because I'm going to be out of here in a couple of seconds, minutes. So we're not going to spend too much time, because I've covered the base, I've covered the layers, I've covered the building, I've covered the paint. So now this is just the ribbon, so that if you're able to draw back or go back in time and rewind, then you can be able to do that. So this is how you internationally win as a podcast. If you have any questions, put it in the chat. Lucas says, today Wix is launching Wix Harmony. Somebody's testing it. Okay, I'm going to check that out. Thank you for saying that. And Celeste, thanks for putting that in the chat too. Yes, it's in Google Labs. So you see, I learn more from you guys than you guys learn from me. That's why I love being out here, because it's very important to learn about these things, because, hey, I don't know everything, guys. I really don't. So I'm just giving you all the real deal. Hey, Juliana, what's up?
Something real quick. So based on the work I did with you 3 years ago with the SEO and everything, right? In addition to you getting me into Gemini and stuff, do you know I just got one big client out of Gemini, because he was asking Gemini, give me a personalized service CPA, who cares? And Gemini recommended me with 2 other large firms in Chicago. And he called me and he said, I read all the reviews, everything ties into everything that Gemini said, and he's a client as we speak. So don't be afraid to use the AI, because I prompt Gemini for a lot of things. And so it knows me. So don't be afraid. Between your SEO and there's something that apparently is called AIO, AI optimization, which I heard first from you when we worked together. So please take it all in and take it and run with it. That's it.
Juliana, congratulations. That is so good to hear. SEO that we did 3 years ago is ripping today. That just tells you guys that for me, it's a long-term game. I'm so big on the long-term game because I know how long it takes to build things that people trust. And right now with AI, you can do anything. I was looking at Wix Harmony, Lucas, and I see it as well, like, vibe coding. So that's exciting to see. I'm going to dive into it. Thank you. All these things are happening right before us, and it's building long term. And if you have a podcast, it's the best place to be. I literally typed on Google. I'll give you guys a clear example, and I'm going to take a screenshot of this and I'll put it on LinkedIn so you guys can see exactly what I'm talking about. I went to Google and I typed in AI mode, podcast SEO monetization for international businesses. Guess whose podcast in the timestamp of 28 minutes and 10 seconds is showing up on the Google's AI review board within the local 3-pack? My podcast is there. So I was like, let me see what's going on out here. Like, what is happening in the world? And there's my podcast showing up in the featured snippets in live mode on AI mode. So I've taken the screenshot and I'll put it on LinkedIn so you guys can see. Because I'm not giving y'all fluff. I always tell you the real thing because I'm doing this thing and I know it may not pay today, it may not pay tomorrow, but the day it cashes out, it's going to be great because at the end of the day, it's going to be something that you're giving people. Right now in January, before you know it, it's Valentine's. Before you know it, it's March. Before you know it, it's Easter. Before you know it, it's July 4th. Before you know it, it's Happy Thanksgiving. So ask yourself right now as a business, where am I on the map? If I search for what I just typed, will I see myself there? And it's not my website that's showing up. It's my Apple Podcast. But guess whose Apple Podcast is connected to the website? Mine. Yours can be there too. If someone's looking for food, nutrition, real estate, just like Juliana talked about with Google Gemini, now she has a client because Google was trusting Juliana's credibility because she has a website that shows information that she provides on a service basis. So if someone's going to say, hey, I'm looking for the best restaurant, or I'm looking for the best this or best that, best this, best that, they're going to look at those responses. You see, she got to go. So it's quick. And you think about it on Clubhouse, you're not here to just waste time and just dilly-dally and talk, yeah, kumbaya. No, we're not doing that. 2026, we are on the go. And that's why I structured this thing. And I said, I'm going to be so concise with this topic today that if you are listening to this and you didn't start off from local, please start off with local because I think local is almost 2 hours long. This is less than an hour long today because I wanted to make sure I didn't want to start the room at the top of the hour. I was like, nah, because if I do that, I'll overwhelm you. And I don't want to do that. I've already done it in a way that is very digestible and it's easy for you to take action with. I've given you actionable strategies. People have come here and said what they've done, what they've created in the last few days. So it's great. And I have topics for you here. So if you guys are listening to this, if you have any topics, questions, please feel free to put it here and let me know. But today's topic about international podcasting, this is what it said on AI mode. In 2026, international podcasting requires a dual focus on local search dominance and diverse global revenue streams, right? Think about it. If you have a Shopify account, I'll just give you guys a technical setup. Ifeanyi, welcome. Thanks for being here, Sai as well. When you look at let me just say this in a very simple way, like Shopify, right? With Shopify, if you are turning off an international market, let's say somebody shops on your website and they have a different currency. Let's say it's pounds, right? Or euros. And that person is only shopping in that currency and they can't shop on your website because you've turned that off on your website. You can't get that global stream because your website on Shopify has turned off international markets. it's only now US territories. Because when people are searching online, it's IP address, it's visibility, it's longitudes, it's latitudes, it's API, it's LLM, it's data, it's intelligence, it's search history, it's search engines. That's why I talk about these things. And I don't want it to get over your head because I don't want it to be so large that you can't really break it down. And it's very possible to do so. The thing that is, if there's anything you're going to take from today's room, is be intentional about the topics of interest that you want to discuss, so that the people who are looking for those same informational pieces to find tasks to do from or actions to take from, it's your data, it's your intelligence, it's your research that they're going to validate. And they're also going to research on others, not just you. That's why I always say, do your research. Don't just listen to me and then call it a day. No, what I'm giving you is a kickstart. It's a head start. It's a jump start. So that when you now do your research, you're like, okay, I saw this before. I don't have to research on what this is because I already understand the definitive formula or the definitive approach to taking this. So we got 2 minutes to go. Celeste, what would you like to say? What would be your biggest takeaway? And what would you be doing for your podcast if you're doing it? And if you're not, what would be your goal for 2026 SEO wise for those listening? Because it's still important for people to think about SEO in an organic perspective.
Well, I thought when I popped in, you was just starting the room. I'm late per usual, but great room nonetheless. And thanks to everybody in the audience who came up. Showed up, because I was just talking to someone yesterday in a small business room, how even though the numbers aren't what they used to be in 2021, we're not getting any more, 1,000+ rooms. It's okay, because some of the biggest connections I've ever made on Clubhouse came from super small rooms like this. So quality over quantity. As far as what I'm going to do in 2026, the biggest thing just for me personally, I realize that even though we talk about a lot of things that help your SEO, there are so many things that can hurt your SEO. So that's what I'm going through right now. My site is just overloaded. So I have to basically offload some things on my main business site and create a whole different website. So I am going to get that done in the first quarter. You can hold me to that. And then I already told you, Favour, I love the idea of podcasting, but I have so many other things. Like Juliana was talking about another big thing I have to do, and that's get the finance stuff together. I actually was talking to someone who they're not a CPA, but they're like a certified tax professional. And they were like, oh, based on how much money you have you ever thought of turning your business into an S Corp? Right now it's an LLC. And I was like, no, I never really looked into it. So I need to sit down with someone to really help me go through all these things. So those are my top 3 things that I have on my list for 2026. So thank you again, Favour, for showing up on here, because it really helps me stay motivated to keep going. So appreciate you.
Appreciate you too, Celeste, and definitely reach out to Juliana. She's a wealth of knowledge and she'll help you for sure.
Listen, I
100%.
need someone in person where I live so they can hold me while I cry, okay?
You could get anyway. We have to find a solution. You know what we're going to do? We're going to find a solution for you, Celeste, because we got to get this. You never know. She might know somebody where you live, because you're all the way in Portland. So it's like, okay, somebody can, it's possible. I can see that happening. So let's not have excuses. Let's have intentions and let's make it happen. And you said I'll hold you to it. So I'm looking forward to that. And I'm sorry about your website, because the tracking part is just intense. When you're looking at a website and you're kind of doing it the reverse, it's a lot. So that's why it's easier to start a website and build it than clog a website and then backlog it. It's just worse. It's kind of like keeping up with the Joneses, and it's not fun, so I'm glad that you're able to get that taken care of. But if you have any questions, please reach out to me. I'm planning to do daily rooms, so I'm going to do another room like this. So definitely. And this is a good time for you because you're in Pacific, so I'll be here for sure. So thank you again.
Okay, well, I will see you tomorrow then.
Yes, I'll see you tomorrow. Thank you, everyone. Justice, Ifeanyi, Margie, I hope I said it correctly. Nairma, hope I said correctly too. Shire and Embler, thank you for being here. Appreciate each and every one of you. Hope you have a wonderful Wednesday, a blessed day, and I'll see you guys in the next room. If you have reached this point of the episode, I just want to say thank you so much for listening to the We Don't Play podcast show. I hope this has helped you, given you some insight, because every time I come on here, or anytime I bring somebody on here, a guest, a speaker, anyone that is of relevance to you listening is always going to give you educational value, definitely entertainment value, and most importantly, empowerment value. So thank you for listening to the We Don't Play podcast show every day. And if you want to reach out to me, you know where to find me. Click the links in the description, or go to info@playinc.online, info@playinc.online, and book a call. Let's talk. Let's have a conversation. Let's talk SEO. Let's talk marketing. Let's talk business. Let's talk scaling. And I look forward to meeting you and learning more about you and your business. Till we meet in the next episode, have a blessed evening. Have a blessed day, night, wherever you are in the world. And I look forward to seeing you in the next episode. Bye for now. And don't forget, Jesus loves you.